Snowbreak Containment Zone is a brand new gorgeous 3D sci-fi anime RPG shooter that I have been covering ever since its announcement. I've done numerous videos over the last couple weeks covering how impressed I've been with the game overall, but I wanted to summarize my experiences in one final video. A TLDW, it has been an absolute blast. Before I jump in, I want to thank the Snowbreak team for sponsoring me over the last couple weeks by providing me with a dev account, allowing me access to a private test environment where I've been able to accumulate all of the footage and experience much of what the game has to offer. And although I made extensive use of this account on stream, my wife, Mrs. Stix, has actually played quite a bit more of the game than I have. And much of the footage used in this video was actually obtained by her in her spare time. With this in mind, if Snowbreak looks like a game that you are at all interested in playing, I urge you to go ahead, click that link in the description, the pinned comment below to join us as part of the Heimdall Force, an elite resistance group directly under my control as we attempt to save the world from destruction, one waifu at a time. Let me get this out of the way first. Snowbreak is not your traditional gacha RPG. Typically, gacha games feature chapter and mission-based progression, and while Snowbreak does as well, it allows for real-time control of your character in the form of a third-person shooter. Instead of selecting several waifus, deploying them, and then watching the gameplay for you, Snowbreak throws you directly into the heat of the action, with full use of cover mechanics and requiring actual aim and understanding of your environment and how enemies will interact with it. Skill isn't necessarily a requirement, but it's definitely going to benefit you. This is something I learned and experienced firsthand. Each waifu has their own distinct weapon type, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses, meaning putting the hottest characters into your group so you can look pretty while running around murdering aliens probably isn't gonna work out too well for you in the long term. I mean, that's what I do, but at the same time, I'm also the leader of the resistance, and that is why I am the leader of the resistance, and I'm not a soldier in it. I can do whatever I want, and nobody can tell me otherwise. On average, though, you will want to focus on team synergy, or focus on maxing out Yao, followed by Fenny as a secondary unit. Why? Just trust me. You will not regret this later. On the contrary, you'll probably come back to this video showering me with praise. While each waifu, let's take Yao as an example here, who uses a sniper rifle, has their own weapon type that they excel in, the customization, depth, and complexity doesn't end there. Weapon customization is an integral aspect of this game, allowing you to not only level, but also attach modifications to every single weapon. These have numerous statistical and strategic benefits, including improving and altering your weapon and how it functions. You can stimulate each of your heroes via the manifestation system, further increasing their base statistics via the use of duplicate character pieces. It genuinely feels like there's a reason for everything in this game, and they somehow streamlined it so it doesn't feel like a convoluted mess. Every hero has their own unique abilities and ultimates, playing into different class archetypes and allowing for interesting team compositions. Thankfully, obtaining waifus isn't too difficult. I genuinely believe that the Snowbreak devs are pretty generous in terms of free-to-play friendliness. I know quite a few people that haven't invested a single cent into the game and have successfully obtained every character that they wanted. You're given quite a sizable amount of currency just by playing, and I wish other studios would take note of this. You do not earn a loyal player base by making players quit the game due to not allowing them to obtain and play as the characters they want. Backtracking to the narrative real quick, main story progression is handled via the use of chapters and missions. There are 10 chapters in total at present, and each chapter has roughly 10 to 20 missions to complete. Missions are broken down into one of three categories: narrative, where you sit through a number of cutscenes; boss, where you engage large boss enemies. These are complex, difficult encounters that require strategy and forethought; or admittedly, you can do what I do, and that's keep your fingers crossed, pray to God that you don't die, and just YOLO. And finally, the basic missions, which has you deploy a group of 3 units and involve running around an instanced area, eliminating enemies from a third-person perspective. And don't get me wrong, I have thoroughly enjoyed running around pew-pewing enemies, but where I think Snowbreak excels beyond the vast majority of its competition is in its base system. Bases aren't a new feature in gacha games. You throw your husbandos or your waifus into a room, and that's typically pretty much it. In Snowbreak, every waifu you obtain is placed into your base, fully realized as 3-dimensional characters. Your base consists primarily of a large lobby area and numerous private rooms. Waifus have a lot to say. They trigger interesting dialogue options, or if you're like Yao, are a whole mood of their own. seriously, you can tell she's dead inside. In each room, you'll be able to talk to your waifus, give them gifts, interact with various objects, or have them interact with them. This breathes new life into an otherwise fairly basic feature and is a welcome addition. It's so much more fulfilling watching your heroes move around, interacting with objects, and just living. They aren't secluded to their rooms though, as you'll still find them out navigating the lobby, engaged in various activities. Now, if you're a loner like I am, then this is probably enough to satiate you, playing with your waifus and wreaking havoc unto your enemies. But for more social players, there's cooperative content to complement the main story, allowing you to join with up to 2 other players, combating dungeons filled with waves of enemies or titans of various size and power. You each control a single hero and attempt to prove who the better player is by flexing those DPS numbers over each other. Overall, Snowbreak Containment Zone is a breath of fresh air in an otherwise stagnant genre. You spend a significant amount of time in game in direct control of each of your heroes. You require actual aim, forethought, skill. It's more challenging than your average game and does all of this while having stunning looking characters with incredibly fluid movement and outfits. This is a game that puts a unique spin on the already established formula that we've all come to expect and is fully cross-platform compatible between PC and mobile devices, and for once, surpasses expectations that I had going in. While Snowbreak isn't perfect, it is an incredibly fun game, going as far as satiating the thirst that I had to go on a murderous rampage as a hot 3D anime waifu. Hey, don't look at me that way. We've all been there. Snowbreak is definitely a game that both Mrs. Stix and I enjoy and will be playing more of. Again, I do want to thank the Snowbreak team here for allowing me direct access to the test server so I could showcase the game on stream. Getting to work with them has been an absolute pleasure. And don't forget, if you're interested in downloading Snowbreak, click that link in the description and the pinned comment below and join us in game.
Loved you from the first time you called me lame. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah, always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah.